AP Gov, Political Parties, Part 4, Mystery Primary. This takes place before actual primaries in the form of which candidates can get donations to run. Remember, to have a successful campaign, you've got to have money. So if you take a look at these 2016 declared Republican candidates, each one of them, with the exception of probably Trump, went around and got financial backing, some kind of list of donors, so that they know that they have financial support before they made their announcement to run for president. Democrats did the same thing, with the exception of Sanders. But these people went around, they made sure they had financial backing before they announced their run for the White House. Once the campaign season starts, that's February 1st, starts in Iowa, you got to go to every state and you got to placate to the citizens of that state. What happens is earlier states in the primary and caucus season get talked to disproportionately. Their voters are disproportionately counted because you want to build momentum as the primary season goes. So you start in Iowa and you got to talk about corn and ethanol, and subsidies, things like that. And you make your way up to New Hampshire and you got to talk about guns, you got to talk about the wilderness and hunting, you got to talk about maple syrup. Look at that. That looks delicious. And as you move through the primary season, you go to state to state to state to state. Maybe you'll make your way over to West Virginia. You got to talk about coal. So the national policy items become like filtered through the lens of what each state thinks is important. There is the Republican primary calendar. As you can see, up top, you start in Iowa, you go through all 50 states, you end on June 7th with South Dakota. Now, as you can see, the earlier you are in the primary season, like earlier your state votes, the more impact you're going to have over who gets to be president. So these states are constantly trying to move up into the earlier part of the primary season, and that's called front loading. Delegates are based on population of the state, and they go to the convention on behalf of the voters of that state. So the Democrat and Republican parties have different nominating processes. So you can just read that slide, pause it. Do you go to this link, greenpapers.com, and check out how the Republicans and Democrats decide how to allocate their delegates to each state. A major difference, however, between the Democrat and Republican nomination process is superdelegates. The superdelegates are from the Democratic National Convention only, not the Republicans. Superdelegates are only at the Democrat National Convention, not the Republicans. The superdelegate is an unpledged delegate. They go to the Democrat National Convention. They can vote for whoever they want. They are different from pledged delegates because pledged delegates are selected based on their state's primary and caucus, and they are bound to the choice that their state voters made. It's not like that for superdelegates. These are party officials in the Democrat Party. They're party activists, or they could be actually elected officials within the Democrat Party. They go to the convention, they make up almost 15% of the convention's delegates, and they are free to choose who to vote for whoever they want to vote for. So that's 2008, that's a superdelegate count. Clinton had the early lead, and then Obama took her over later on in the primary season. For 2016, Clinton started out with the superdelegate lead and maintained that lead over Sanders throughout the entire primary season. So she always had a big lead over Sanders, but a lot of that was superdelegates, and I don't know if the media really reported on that, because those weren't delegates representing the voters of the state. Those were free to choose delegates, and they just happened to be choosing Clinton. Okay, last slide. Party conventions evolve. They evolve over time from a place where delegates were controlled by state parties to a place where delegates were controlled by the candidates themselves. So this is the weakening of the party and the rise of the candidate. So that's how party conventions evolve. That's Burning Man, by the way. And the best example to illustrate how party conventions have evolved is Donald Trump. He came out of nowhere, and love him or hate him, he completely reconfigured how the nomination process works in America. He was not controlled at all by the Republican Party in any way. He had a special connection with voters and Mike Pence, as you can see in that image. But he totally weakened the strengths of the party and had a special connection with the voters. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation and all the parts of the presentation on political parties.